Good evening. Welcome to this event for those running to be the next council member for Ward 5 in the city of Albany. My name is Mary Berry. I am a member of the League of Women Voters of Albany County. Tonight's event is being co-sponsored by the League, the Council of Albany Neighborhood Associations, and the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the Albany chapter. The League is a nonpartisan volunteer citizen organization that promotes the informed and active participation of citizens in government and works to increase understanding of major public policy issues. The League neither supports nor opposes candidates or political parties. The League has a long tradition, actually over 100 years, of sponsoring candidate events to aid in educating the electorate so that on election day, voters will be able to make informed decisions at the polls. This event is an example of our work. For more information about the voting process and about candidates running in the June 22nd primaries, go to our voter information website, vote411.org. If you live in a district that is holding a primary, type in your address and the information will appear. Other places to receive information on voting are the Albany County and the New York State Boards of Elections websites. Thank you for watching our event.
Good evening. My name is Deborah Brown Johnson, and I'm the president of the Albany branch of the NAACP. And on behalf of the Albany NAACP, the officers of the branch, and the executive committee, I join with our partners, CANA and the office and the League of Women Voters in welcome you to this evening's forum. I thank you for joining us. We look for it to be informative and enlightening. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2021 Meet the Candidates Forum for those running for the 5th Ward of the Albany Common Council of the City of Albany. Thank you for joining us tonight. This event is co-sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Albany County, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, and the Council of Albany Neighborhood Associations. My name is Zachary Simpson, Chairman of the Council of Albany Neighborhood Associations, also known as CANA. CANA is a citywide, nonpartisan federation of neighborhood associations and community organizations involved in all matters that affects the quality of life of our constituents. Our mission is what is good for Albany's neighborhoods is good for the vitality, well-being, and growth of the entire community. I am truly delighted to serve as your moderator for tonight's event. It's my pleasure to welcome the 2 candidates that are running this year for the 5th Ward Common Council position, and I would like to introduce them to you now. We have with us tonight the Mr. Wilmer Lawson, and we also have the Honorable Jamel Robinson. We will hear from each of these candidates in just a moment. I would like to take a few minutes to review tonight's program and our ground rules. Each candidate will have the opportunity to make both opening and closing statements and respond to questions developed by the event's co-sponsors. We will also ask questions that have been sent in advance. All candidates' statements and answers will be time limited. 2 minutes for opening statements, 2 minutes for answers, and 2 minutes for closing statements. Our timekeeper, Lynn Nugent, with the League of Women Voters, has signage to show you when you have 1 minute, 30 seconds, and then a stop sign. She will be in view of the candidates at all times. In the interest of time, if there are multiple questions asking about the same topic, we will read one of those questions and allow the candidates to respond. So even if you don't hear your exact question read tonight, the candidates will be addressing as many topics as we can with the time allotted. We're ready to begin. To start out tonight, we're going to do a quick coin toss to see who is going to go do the opening statement first. Mr. Robinson, would you like heads or tails?
Tails.
Tails? Okay. We're tails, so you go first, sir. 2 minutes, please.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me this evening. I want to thank Kana, the League of Women Voters, and also the NAACP for having this forum. I just want to start out by saying that I grew up in the city of Albany, predominantly in the neighborhood of West Hill, which is sandwiched in between Arbor Hill and also the West End. In 2017, when I had the unique opportunity to run for office, I decided to take that chance because growing up in the neighborhood, I seen the decline and the decay of my beloved neighborhood over the years. And with my background being in addressing systemic issues, I knew that the issues that we address in our community were systemic, dealing with things such as history of redlining and racism and racist policies of our city and also of our state. And so I knew that it would take bold and progressive leadership to get the job done. And so during my first term in office, I addressed a lot of the systemic issues, and I look forward to continuing that in the second term.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Robinson. Mr. Lawson, thank you for joining us. 2 minutes for your opening statement, sir. Go right ahead.
How you going? My name is Wilmer Becky Lawson. I would like to thank all you guys for having me today, the NAACP, and all the parties that have something to do with this event today. I have decided to run because I feel like my community was in need of a lot of help. Our community has been taking a lot of big hits through a lot of this violence and a lot of things that's going on in our community. And I felt like I was a leader to help out to address a lot of these issues. I realized why the current administration will have been here. They have a lot of great intentions, but I just don't feel like they understand the things that's going on. I live this life. I'm out here. I'm touching the people each and every day. I haven't been to a corner that I don't speak to people and they don't speak back. They don't know me by name. And I really feel like that is very important in our community, that that issues that need to be addressed, that they can come to you on a personal level and come to you and knowing that their issues will be taken care of. So these are some of the main reasons why I came to run this term.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Lawson. Thank you very much. So let's start getting into some of the questions that we have tonight. And first, the question is going to go to Mr. Robinson and then Mr. Lawson, and then we're going to go reverse order until the end. So, Mr. Robinson, I wanted to pose a question that came in from an Albany High School student. What motivated you to run for Common Council Ward 5 leader? 2 minutes.
Great. That's a great question. What motivated me to run for Ward 5? In 2014, I was actually racially profiled by the Albany Police Department. And I had my fiance in the car at the time, which is now my wife. And I remember the feeling that it felt and feeling degraded by APD. And so I knew that, there's something that I can contribute and bring to the table to make change. And so that experience of being racially profiled got me into the mode where I wanted to run to make change, because if I went through this experience, I knew that other people have been through the experience that look like me. And so that was one of the reasons why I ran. Another reason why I ran, like I said before, that I seen the decline and the decay of my beloved community. I seen the neglect of our housing stock. I seen the neglect of our streets and our sidewalks. And so I knew that I can get in office and make change. And also hearing the concerns and the cares of my neighbors who were upset with the way things were going. And so with all that, that prompted me to run for office in 2017.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lawson, same question, sir. 2 minutes.
I mean, for years I have paid attention to our community, and they're addressing the issues that they had. Walking down the street every day, everybody has problems about things that's going on, and they always will come to me for their problems. And I just felt like this would be a bigger platform for me to help them. A lot of times when I was doing this before, and I wasn't, in the political eye, and just walking the streets with them, I felt helpless. I felt like I couldn't meet them to full capacity because I really wasn't in a place to really help them. And I just feel like now doing this, I can be in a position where I can help my people with all of the things that they got going on. I mean, we got a lot of elderlies around here that really don't have much to do, and we need to be creating things for our elderly to do. We have mothers that need help. We got fathers that need jobs. We got kids that need programming. So I do these things already. These things I do off the clock. These things are natural to me. These things are things that they automatically know that I'm gonna be there for them for all of these issues. So these are one of the main reasons why I want to service my community.
Okay, thank you very much. And then now the next question will come to Mr. Lawson first. What are some of the methods you would use to ensure you are listening and advocating for all the residents of the Fifth Ward? In 2 minutes, sir.
Well, I mean, that's the main thing, is us working together and listening to each other. We're not going to come here and act like we know all the answers to every solution, but we're going to meet on a common ground. At least we're going to go out and talk to the people. I am very visible. They can touch me, they can call me, they can knock on my door at any given time, and they don't have any problem doing that. So this thing is just natural. It's so natural to me, that to be out there every day and just being able to serve the community.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lawson. Mr. Robinson, same question? I just got to unmute yourself.
So when I first entered office, one of the things I first immediately did was I held a community meeting to get to know all the community residents and the concerns of the people who I didn't get to touch when I ran the first time. And there are some subsequent meetings that I held, but I realized that they weren't being as effective. So I decided to take my meetings to the doors. And so that has been one of the defining things I believe that I have done as a council member, is going to the doors and actually listening to the concerns of each and every one of my neighbors. So I will continue that in the second term, and actually going to the doors. And also my phone number, my personal cell phone number is readily available. Day, morning, day, night, noon, or whatever. I've always received calls from my constituents throughout the day. I make sure that I'm attentive to their concerns and their needs, and then by email. So my goal has always been, and is, and will continue to be accessible to the residents of the Fifth Ward.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's see here. And I think this one's going to come to Mr. Robinson first, right? What do you see as the greatest challenges facing neighborhoods in your ward? And please prioritize those that you plan to address if elected or reelected.
Gotcha. So some of the major challenges, as many know, number one is public safety. Violence. The Fifth Ward has one of the highest rates of violence in the city. And so public safety has been a major concern. But I have addressed that in some of the policies that I have presented to the council. And one of the things that we passed is the city's equity agenda ordinance, in which it set up the anti-violence task force. So public safety is still a major concern. Also urban blight. our housing stock is declining. And so I've worked with the Albany County Land Bank to create new policies to get houses in the hands of those in our community. Also now dealing with COVID, I would say also health. We want to ensure that what COVID did is it exacerbated some of the issues that we already have in our community. Um, and so I will continue to address issues dealing with COVID and work with community organizations, city and county officials to address that, to make sure that our community is safe and healthy during this time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lawson. Same question.
Yes, exactly. Public safety is a huge issue in our community, and the resources and creating programs, housing as well, and making sure that our people are able to afford these houses by getting jobs. We have a lot of people that's walking around here that has trades and can do different things, and we're not creating jobs and opportunities for them. We need to help more people to create these things for them, so we can build our community a lot better, so we can take care of our community a lot better. These things are so important to keep a lot of our people that's on the street busy. So those are a few of our challenges that we have in our community.
Okay, thank you much. Thank you, Mr. Lawson. All right, we're gonna shift a little bit here and talk about the police department, the Albany Police Department. And this question is gonna come first to Mr. Lawson. It has been repeatedly reported that the Albany Police Department has a shortage of personnel. Some communities want more police. Other communities feel they are over-policed. How will you deal with the shortage of police officers and add to the diversity of the police force? In 2 minutes, sir.
Well, I really feel like our police department really need people that really know our community, and they should recruit more people that's in our community. I know it's tough, and our community really don't trust. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, they don't trust too many people that's out of our community to come in and police anything. But they see some familiar faces, and they respect these faces, and we can get some things done. I mean, the connection and the relationships that we have with the police, it has to get better. Yes, we're all human, but these things have to get better. We have to get respected, and they have to be respected. So we have to meet in a common ground. So these things that's going on with the police, we need to have trust that these things don't happen anymore. So we shouldn't have problems. If we want to talk to the police, it shouldn't be a problem with us speaking to the police. It shouldn't be a problem with our young men when they see a police officer that they're spooked. They should be able to go to them, laugh and smile and giggle, just like common people. So we just need to build that relationship with the police department and make our communities a lot better.
Thank you, Mr. Lawson. Mr. Robinson?
Thank you. So yes, I agree with Mr. Lawson that building relationships is key. One of the things when the police chief first came to the city, one of the things I did was I walked him around the neighborhood to introduce him to the neighbors, to show him some of the issues that we were having in our community and some of the distrust. And he heard firsthand some of the things that our community was dealing with, what the root of the distrust was. And, he felt what the burden that the community had with relationships with the police. One of the things, and I've talked to the police chief about this, is in order to get people, our community, re-engaged in wanting to be police officers, we need to start the pipeline early. we need to get people interested in the criminal justice field early on. So we need to create that pipeline in high school and to debunk the stigma of what it is to mean to be a police officer. That when you're a police officer, you're not a snitch in the community. When you're a police officer, you're not a person who wants to do harm to the community. But when you're a police officer, you're there to protect and serve the community. So that's another thing I believe that we have to do is really debunk the myths of what it is to be police officers. And of course, there's always a balance that you have to maintain when it comes to policing. You know, our residents in our district, they want to feel safe. They want to feel the police presence in the neighborhood. But you also have to balance it with the police also being engaged in the community when they're present.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Robinson. All right, the next question is going to come to you first, sir. What is your position on use of tear gas and rubber bullets by the police on civilians? And it's a very important question for the community, so please explain your answer.
Yes. So last year, when the protests were happening throughout our city, a protest that happened in our district, the 5th Ward, where the police headquarters is. And so I went down there at the call of many of the residents that live on that street wondering what's going on. And then also the mayor also called me and wanted me to go down to see, what I can do to ensure that the protests will remain peaceful. And so I went down there and I began to engage the people who were there protesting. And one of the questions I asked, some of the people in the crowd, what are you protesting for? Some of them gave me answers, but then I began to explain what were some of the things that we were doing that will aid them in their protests on the council. And no sooner, probably about 2 minutes after I finished talking to one of the people, that's when the tear gas went off. So I was affected by the tear gas. As I began to get away from the tear gas, there was an elderly man that I had to help to safety. So I say all that to say that tear gas needs to be banned. Rubber bullets needs to be banned. I'm staunch. I said that on the council, and I support the current legislation, local law C, that's in front of us, that tear gas has to be banned.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Mr. Lawson, same question.
Just like Councilman Robinson said, I was also down there with our Common Council President, Corey Ellis. We were down there together, standing in the audience with the crowd when these issues happened down in the fifth ward. It really was a scary situation because we didn't really know, where this stuff was coming from. We really didn't know. We were in harm's way. We felt like we were in harm's way, and we really had to basically hold each other up to get out of there. So yes, I definitely will love the ban on the tear gas and the bullets. It is not a good thing. We should not be using that to to calm any crowd down or anything. So I'm really not liking the tear gas. So I'm really for the ban of tear gas.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lawson. And the next question will come to you first, sir. What is your position on the Common Council's proposal to form a public safety commission? If you support this action, what would you do as a council member to implement it in a timely manner?
This is the public safety action is something that I really need to do a little bit more research on. So I'm not really, into a lot. I'm still, learning. I'm really new at this. So, I'm still learning. So I really don't know, a lot about this, but, I will do my research and, work with the community on, a lot of the things that comes with the public safety action.
Thank you, Mr. Lawson. Mr. Robinson?
Gotcha. So with the Public Safety Commission, that is something that I fully support wholeheartedly. I was a part of the police collaborative that was set up, and the police collaborative came up with several policy recommendations to begin to address the systemic issues that exist in the Albany Police Department. And so I'm glad that I was a part of that collaborative. And so in order to ensure that this police commission is successful, I will work closely with our council president, who is one of the prime sponsors and who supports this piece of legislation, and also our council members. I work closely with them to see what we can do to ensure that this police public safety commission is set up in a timely fashion.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Robinson. I did want to move over to a question from a Green Tech High student. Okay. With all the violence going on, what initiatives are being placed around the summer parks to keep the park a safe zone? As a teenager, I want to go to the park and play basketball and hang out, but I'm scared. My parents are scared to let me go. And that goes to Mr. Robinson first.
Thank you so much. And that question is a great question. And it is also a question that comes with the air of sadness because our children should feel safe going to the parks and should not feel like they have to watch their backs when they play in our city's parks. And so that is a question that is very heartfelt. And I want to ensure the Green Tech high school student and all of our students and children across the city that we're doing everything that we can as a city. We've increased our police presence for the summer months. We partnered with our county sheriffs and also our state police to ensure that our students and our children have a safe and have a safe summer. Some of the things that we're currently working on is our anti-violence prevention task force. They have been meeting regularly to discuss policies that can be introduced to the council that will help with some of the violence, stem some of the violence in our neighborhoods.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes, I'm very sorry for that young man and his family that's very shook up about coming out. I am out there every day. I'm a coach. I coach in numerous parks. I coach the high school basketball team. So I am out here every day. So I'm in the front line of all of this stuff, that activities that he's talking about. I'm also, willing to come out here and try to create some safe havens, for our kids to come out and feel comfortable. Like I said, I instruct at these parks. Most likely, I know this young man, probably know him personally. We have to create safe havens for these kids to come out and play. These kids are trusting in us to keep them safe, and we need to create something to be safe. We can't just talk about it. We have to be out there every day, and that's what I'm doing. I'm out there every day. People see me at these parks every day. Down at the Arbor Hill Sports Complex, if you see, we get 200-300 kids mostly daily when our programs start. And guess what? We're out there every day. They see it, and it's our job to keep them safe. And that's what we're going to try to do with the help of, the city and the police department or whatever we have to do. And we have to do it ourselves and get some guys from our community to step up and make sure things is not happening. We'll have a meeting and that's what we'll do. Albany Concerned Citizens is always in action. Snugs is always in action to do these things to keep our park safe. So that's what we will do. We will come together and we will keep our park safe.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Lawson. So here we go. And this question from Mr. Lawson first. What are 3 examples of specific initiatives that you envision for the future of Albany that do not exist today? And how would you ensure equity in implementing them?
Well, you always have to come up and get your fundraisers and things like that in hand, because a lot of things that we were doing back when we were kids that made our communities as events, things that we do, that we're used to doing all the time. Those things has really been taken away from us. COVID was a big part of things being taken away. But the last couple of years, the things that was bringing the communities together are the things that's been taken away. I'm still trying to figure out why, and we need to bring those things back to create families and better families in our community. We have to work together with the city to make sure, the equity and all of that stuff is there. We have to work together to make these things happen for our community.
Thank you, Mr. Lawson. And Mr. Robinson?
Okay, so thank you. So 3 initiatives that don't exist that I would like to see happen. Number 1 is community block captains. This is something that I thought of last year, and unfortunately wasn't able to implement anything because of COVID. But I believe that this year, that's something that we may be able to do. Community block captains will be responsible for, let's say, the upkeep of their neighborhood, to know what's going on in their neighborhood. If they see something out of place, to report it. If they see, something that needs to be fixed, they can go to See Click Fix to report it. But I believe that we need to bring that sense of community and that sense of ownership back to the 5th Ward. Another thing is I would like to see, one of the things that we're implementing is a new community and senior services center. And so one of the things I would like to see is college classes offered at this new community center right in our district. So people don't have to travel outside of the district to Hudson Valley or to, other areas of the city where colleges are, but they can, get college education and credits right here in their own backyard. Another thing is I would like to see is public input with budgeting. I would like to see a certain percentage of the city's budget allocated so that the community can have an input on how a portion of the city's budget is spent. I think this will go a long way in ensuring equity in our districts.
Okay, thank you very much. And the next question will come first to Mr. Robinson. Albany is expected to receive approximately $85 million from the American Rescue Plan. How would you like to see that money spent in the 5th Ward neighborhoods?
Thank you. So yes, this is a great question, and I currently sit on the COVID relief task force here in the city that's been set up. And one of the major things that I would like to see this money spent on is improving the 5th Ward infrastructure. We've made strides with our streets and sidewalks, but because of the decades of neglect that we faced, we need our streets and sidewalks updated. There's areas on First Street that are just a travesty to walk on. There's overgrown trees, and this has been a concern that I've brought up to the administration a few times. So I would like to see that money goes towards that investment. and also see that those funds goes towards small business incubators in our district. I would like to see more small businesses come into the district and start their own business right here in the fifth. So those are some of the things that I would like to see happen.
Mr. Lawson, same question.
I would love to see some of that money go to making houses affordable housing for some of the unprivileged. I also would love to see more programming for our youth. We're struggling. We need things. We having a lot of trauma that's been going on here in our community. We need more. We need more programming. We need so much. Housing, things for the elderly to do. We need, like I said, it's so much. It's so dear to my heart how much we need here. The fixing of the streets. We need more businesses that we can go to, that people that we know, to help them out. So those are just a few things that I'm just thinking of that we need to do with that money.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lawson. Okay. So over the last year, this question is going to come to Mr. Lawson first. Over the last year, policing and police reform have been prevalent topics both locally at the state level and nationally. Please comment on the work of the Albany Police Reform and Reinvention Collaborative.
Excuse me, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, let me repeat the question. Over the last year, policing and police reform have been prevalent topics both locally at the state level and nationally. Please comment on the work of the Albany's Police Reform and Reinvention Collaborative.
The police have they do have a tough job, but they need to work with our people with the reform. They need to know if they are doing things that they're going to be held accountable for. The relationships and with the community and all that. Like I said before, those things are so big, and these are things that we're not doing. We need to get out more. Like I said, to our parks and to events so we can meet people and we could take care of all of these issues that's going on right
now. Mr. Robinson.
Thank you. So the Police Reform Collaborative, as I mentioned before, was a collaborative that I had the privilege of being able to be a part of. And the work that was done, community partners and leaders came together and made a series of recommendations on what we can do for police reform. One of the committees that I sat on, we talked about using forfeiture and seizure money to put back into the community to help with things such as programming for our youth, to help with things such as investing in our community center and things of that sort. So the recommendations, again, there was several recommendations that were made, and I cannot wait to get started. And one of the recommendations our council president introduced was the Public Safety Commission. That came out of the Police Reform Collaborative. So there are many great things that came out of Police Reform Collaborative, and I'm looking forward to implementing more of those policy recommendations.
Great, thank you, Mr. Robinson. So here's a question. How can the city, and this is going to come to Mr. Robinson first, how can the city address the deteriorating and unsafe conditions of the housing stock in poorer neighborhoods?
Thank you. So so this has been something that has been near and dear to my heart as well, is the urban blight that exists in our neighborhoods. One of the things that I had the opportunity to do was to work with the Albany County Land Bank to come up with ways to get more houses into hands of those who actually live in the community. And also, one of the big barriers is access to capital. And so out of that committee, the Albany County Land Bank partnered with Home Headquarters. That makes it easier for access to capital to be provided. And then one of the things that I believe should happen is that these houses need to be worked on, I believe, by members of the community. This is why we need to increase workforce development in our trades. We need carpenters, electricians, and occupations such as that to rehab these houses and then give it back to the community mortgage free. And I think that will help turn the tide in addressing the urban blight in our neighborhood.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Mr. Lawson, same question.
Yes, I think that we really need to team up with our local high schools and middle schools that have occupation programs to help rebuild some of these houses that's in our community. We see more houses in our community that's boarded up than what's people living in. So that's terrible right there. And I just feel like it shouldn't take another 4 years for these houses to get fixed and occupied. I mean, we've been at this for a long time, even with the with some of the land bank that's going on. A lot of our people in our community is not feeling that they can afford these houses. We need to make these houses affordable so they can go in and try to get some help so they can fix it, so they can live in it. These houses that's boarded up in our communities are making our communities look like a vacant place. You know what I mean? So we definitely need to team up with our high schools and maybe, have the occupation programs come out, have more programming to help fix up these houses so we can get some of our people in these houses so we can really, really love our community again.
Okay, Mr. Lawson, next question comes to you. And it's related to home ownership. What would you do to create opportunities for low-income home ownership in the city of Albany?
Well, at first, we need to find out the resources to make these houses affordable. Like I said, a lot of people, like I said, I'm from the community and I've been there before. When they start talking prices, it's discouraging. What they want for houses that's not even, don't even look up to par. So if we can find these resources to create, some kind of revenue, so people can know that they can afford and own their own house. Like I said, people will take more initiative and more pride into buying the house in their community and loving their community again.
All right. Mr. Robinson, same question.
Yeah, so one of the things that's a big barrier to home ownership, especially with acquiring these vacant properties, is that the process is very bureaucratic. And so we need to break down that process of the application process and getting home to the hands of people that live in our community. Another thing is that once a person puts an application to get a home from the Albany County Land Bank, there are so many factors that you have to have on the application. You have to know, you have to create a plan to get an electrician. You have to create a plan to get a carpenter. You have to create a plan to get, the individuals that's needed to fix up the home. So one of the things I mentioned on this, recommended for this committee that I sat on with the Albany County Land Bank was to have a list of MWBE or companies, electricians, carpentry, and things of that sort. Have that list readily available so people can be able to that will help people create a plan on what they can do to fix up the home. And then actually, I'll always say is access to capital. We need money to flow into our neighborhoods to be able to fix up these dilapidated properties and get them back into the hands of our people.
Okay, next question, Mr. Robinson. What specific measures would you propose to reduce the overall crime rate in the city of Albany, including steps to address the increase in gun violence in the city of Albany?
Thank you. So the crime that exists in our neighborhood and the violence that exists in our neighborhood, as I often say, are systemic symptoms of systemic issues. And what we have to do is we have to address the systemic issues. We have to address poverty. We have to have address housing inequality. We have to address things such as that sort in order to get at the root of the violence that's happening in our city. And these are upstream investments that will yield downstream, great downstream outcomes. And so, in order to address the crime in our city in short term, we need to continue to work with our police chief. We need to continue to work with our community members. We need to continue to work with our community leaders. And we need to continue to work with our local electeds and the government and continue to pound the pavement and continue to let people know that violence is not accepted in our community and that violence is not accepted in our city.
Mr. Lawson, same question.
On being an educator, it plays a big part in trying to help reduce a lot of this violence. Like I said, relating to the kids and being able to go out there and talk to your people that's on your corners and being able to talk to these people that's walking down your street and having conversations. And that's all about being visible. I mean, if these people respect right now, they really don't have the respect is not there for our people. And we have to gain and earn that respect back. And once they earn and gain that respect back, I'm almost guaranteeing that some of this violence will be down. I mean, we had the worst year, of Albany's history, and most of this stuff was happening up here in the Fifth Ward, and why? Why? Because we were careless about a lot of things that's going on right now, and we letting it fall by the wayside. We need to get to these kids. We need to figure out where these guns is coming from. Why are they getting into the hands of our kids? How they're getting in the hands of our kids. We need to dig down to the root and find out how and why. And it is not going to happen by sitting up in your house talking about it. It's not going to happen that way. You have to get out here and you have to talk to these people. You have to be out here every day. You can't be in your house talking, and that's what we need to do. We need to get out here and educate these kids about these guns are bad. Guns are bad. Violence is bad. We need to let them know.
Okay, next question from Mr. Lawson. Actually, this is going to be based on today's Times Union. There was a front page article entitled "An Afternoon in One of Albany's Food Deserts." And I just want to read a quick paragraph. In New York, 655,000 people live in food deserts, which the U.S. Department of Agriculture defines as an area where the poverty rate is 20% or higher and where a third of residents live more than a mile from a grocery store. How are you going to address the food desert issue in your neighborhoods?
You said the fruit? I couldn't hear you yet.
Food deserts.
How am I gonna, excuse me, I couldn't hear, I'm sorry.
Oh, sure. Sure. How are you going to address the issue with food deserts where residents live more than a mile from a grocery store in Albany?
Well, we have to create, more businesses to make sure there are more people living closer to stores. Everybody don't have access to transportation, and I think that they should. Everybody don't have cars. People are here struggling. And that's why I was talking about creating the jobs so we won't have these problems. So these fruit deserts or whatever. I mean, we need to fix that issue. We need to make things closer, so people can be at walking distance, so we won't have those problems.
Okay, Mr. Robinson, 2 minutes.
Thank you. Yeah, so food deserts, one of the things is, our community needs access to fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, and fresh food. And sometimes one of the things is, like you said, that our community needs to be in walking distance with for a grocery store. So one of the things we need to invest in is a grocery store, and we need to bring more people that are willing to do business in the Fifth, as I mentioned before, with addressing our food desert issue.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Robinson. All right, and here's a question about serving on subcommittees of the Common Council. If you're elected or re-elected to the Common Council, what subcommittees, for example, general services, public safety, planning, economic development, tax and finance, would you like to be on, and what initiatives will you pursue on those subcommittees? I believe it comes to Mr. Robinson first, I believe, right?
Yes, I believe so. Gotcha. So one of the subcommittees that I would be a part of, there's a subcommittee that I'm currently chair of, is the Human Resources and Human Rights Committee. And that committee, some of the initiatives that I will be looking to pursue is strengthening our city's equity agenda, adding more language in there that will begin to address some of the social determinants of health of our neighborhoods. Another committee that I currently sit on is the Finance, Taxation, and Assessment Committee. And so, as I mentioned before, one of the things that I like to see happen is public budgeting, to where the public, the residents of the city of Albany, gets to choose how a portion of the city's budget is spent. And also housing and community development is another committee that I sit on. So I would choose all three of those committees again. And I would like to increase how much funding we have that will go towards our neighborhoods to fix up broken buildings and to help homeowners with repairs and things of that sort.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Mr. Lawson?
Yes, with me would be the tax and the finances, because I would love to be part of the roundtable about where these our monies is being allocated, where they're going and what are we using it for. I would love to be part of that, because that would be a big part of helping our youth, creating programs and creating things for our families to do in our communities.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lawson. I just wanted to take another question from a high school student. What different types of perspectives and insight will you bring to the table as a Common Council member? Mr. Lawson, you're first.
Well, they know that I'm very active in a lot of different things. Well, me personally, like I said, I'm a coach. I'm a mentor. I do things that come down to performing arts, musically, dance. I have a lot of activities in mind that we need to do to keep our youth busy. And then I am the commissioner of the Arbor Hill Sports Complex softball field, which I do to keep a lot of our women and our men active. So I mean, I'm doing things all the time, and I'm a very active person. I'm not really a talker. I live on action. So that's basically what I can bring to the table is action and making sure that we have enough programs and events going on in our community.
All right, Mr. Robinson, same question.
Thank you. So some of the issues, one of the things is what I can bring to the table is my unique ability to address, as I said before, systemic issues. It's my profession from my 9 to 5. And I've already done that in my first term in office. One of the things that I advocated for was the removal of asphalt sidewalks that existed in our district. for decades. And so I advocated for funding to go to remove those asphalt sidewalks. I don't know if you've been on 2nd Street, 3rd Street. You can see it has new trees and new sidewalks. And so our built environment helps us feel better as a community. And so our built environment also deters certain things, crime and things for happening in our community. Also, the street lights. We advocated as a council for more for our street lights to be revamped. And so we replaced all the street lights throughout the city. And I also made sure that the 5th Ward was prioritized when it came to this street light project. So those are some of the things that I've been able to do with my unique leadership ability in addressing systemic issues. I was not comprehensive, but in the interest of time, those are some of the things.
Okay, thank you very much. I have a question about seniors, and I think it's going to come to Mr. Robinson first. Over the past 20 years, taxes have risen dramatically. What will you do to help senior citizens whose fixed incomes have not risen? Some senior citizens are house wealthy but cash poor. What will you do to protect seniors?
Gotcha. So some of the things that I would do to protect seniors is to one of the things is fees. To make sure that our seniors are aware of their STAR exemptions, to make sure that our seniors are aware of the different programs available to them that they can take advantage of, that while taxes may not be reduced, that you know, a lot of the fees that nickel and dime our community to death can be eliminated. And so that our seniors are aware of what things they can take care of, take advantage of.
Okay, Mr. Lawson.
Yes, our seniors is a real top priority. You know, they need to be able to afford things and to be able to sustain what they got going on in their household. I mean, with them trying to raise or keep them stagnant is not, is not good for us. You know, it's not good because they need to be taken care of. We need to be creating more things for our seniors so they can get out and to enjoy themselves. Like I said, more events, more we had yoga programs for the seniors. We had Zumba for seniors. And like I said, I'm a performer, so I'm willing to even go and entertain the seniors. Like, we need to make sure that they are taken care of, and make sure we take care of them.
Okay, and the next question will come to Mr. Lawson first. How will you ensure true equity across the city, and how will you ensure that historically underserved neighborhoods are engaged in part of the conversations?
Well, you have to create you have to create a team, and then you have meetings, you invite them and see what they have to say. You have to hear the voice of the community and the concerns of the community, and they'll, once you build it, they will come. To create the equity, like I said, we have to have affordable things here, for the community to do, affordable housing, affordable, food, and affordable things for them to so we can create that. So they just have to trust in the value of what you're trying to show them, and you just have to lead them, to understand.
Thank you, Mr. Lawson. Mr. Robinson?
Thank you. So as I mentioned before, that one of the things that I would continue to do in the second term and going forward is to strengthen our equity agenda, to ensure that our community receives its fair share in resources. Dealing with our parks, our infrastructure, dealing with our housing and things of that sort. So I would ensure that our equity agenda is strengthened going forward, and then also working with the administration to make sure that the concerns of the community are heard, and to hold the administration accountable for addressing those concerns. And so that's what I would do to help ensure equity in our community. And then also is to, again, I normally take my town halls to the doors, is to really listen to the concerns of the community at a granular level, and then taking those concerns back to City Hall to work on them.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Robinson. So we have a question about building codes. Many properties in Albany that were once family homes are now rental properties that are not given the maintenance they had once had. Code violations are often obvious. What will you do to support building codes? Mr. Robinson first, right? Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So I would do exactly what we're doing now on the council. That is to begin to hold our property owners accountable, landlords accountable, which for how their properties are, how their properties look, and increasing fees and fines for those property owners who don't adhere to what the standards that should be set for their buildings. So that's what I would do.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes, we would hold our landlords, hold them accountable for these building codes. Making sure that they're checking on their buildings frequently, making sure that their renters is satisfied with their business, and just making sure things are up to par. So I agree.
Okay. Okay, here's one. The pandemic has brought increasing economic challenges to many Albany residents. What would you do to help the city not only recover from the past 2 years, but move forward? Mr. Lawson first.
Well, we know that the pandemic was tough on a lot of people, and we have been out, the past couple months. We have been out, doing food giveaways, and we've been giving, doing a lot of events outside, a lot of free events where they can just walk up and we can do our part for our community. A lot of them are suffering financially, and like you said, things are starting to open up, and a lot of people have concerns about having a job. So we have to create more jobs for our people that's been struggling the most, especially in the Fifth Ward, people that's been struggling through the pandemic, to make sure, to help them come out of it.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson.
Thank you. So as I mentioned before, that I am a part of the COVID-19 recovery task force. And so I'm looking forward to making the recommendations on that task force that will, that will help us spend the money wisely when it comes to, and also in an equitable manner. Also, ensuring that we still maintain our access to vaccination sites. That is key and a crucial component in our community, because our communities were decimated when it came to the COVID-19. And so I was on the front lines then, and I will continue to be on the front lines to ensure that our communities are properly vaccinated, and that also that our seniors has access to the information regarding COVID-19 protocols. So those are some of the things that I would continue to do.
Thank you very much. Okay, here's one. As a council member, what is your focus in your first 100 days in office? And this will go to Mr. Robinson.
Okay, so my first 100 days in office is to continue to do what I've been doing. One of the things that we have major coming to the West Hill community, which is in the Fifth Ward, is a new community center and senior services center. So in my first 100 days in office, I want to make sure that the city, we create a plan to make this happen, create a plan to make it and to make it successful and for it to go forward. Also, as I mentioned before, is to work on strengthening our equity agenda ordinance here in the city. Those are some of the things that I would do in my work on in my first 100 days.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lawson.
My first 100 days, what I would do is I would go out and talk to my people first. I'll get out there, and talk to my community. And then I would learn, because right now I don't know everything about what's going on down at all of the council stuff, and I'm learning. I'm very new at this. So I would take the concerns and the issues of our people and do my research, um, absorb as much information about this common council, learn all my people, learn all my ward leaders, and try to work together so we can make Albany great. I'm concerned about my Fifth Ward. Yes, I'm concerned about we need to make Albany great again, so we all can work together as council leaders, and we can make Albany great again, and Albany a place to come and that everybody want to be.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Lawson. All right, we're coming down the dwindling question list here. Let's see, let's take a question from an Albany High School student. Why do you think you're perfect for this position you're seeking, and what could you do different that will make your ideas or plans different than your opponent? Mr. Lawson.
Well, me, like I said before, being visible, it means a lot to our people. Being someone that our community can touch, being someone that our community, can talk to any given day, any given night is very important. Um, Differently, um, you know, I love to create more things for our people, more programs. Like I said, more events, more help the housing, and I can preach that all day long, but being out there and helping them is more important than anything. Is more important, so they know that they can come to you for their issues is more important than anything else. So I mean, we could talk about all of this and that, but our people need to know that they can depend on you to get the job done. So that's basically what I have to say.
Mr. Robinson?
Zach, can you repeat the question for me, please?
Sure. This is from an Albany High student. Why do you think you are perfect for this position you're seeking? What could you do different that will make your ideas or plans different from your opponent?
Okay. Thank you. So what makes me different from my opponent is my experience in this position as a council person. The work that I've already have gotten done in just 4 short years. We addressed our infrastructure issues. People were promised that the asphalt sidewalks were going to be removed for over 25 years. That didn't happen until I got into office. There was a promise of a park revitalization that was promised to the community. That did not happen until I got into office. We revitalized our Tivoli Park, and we also revitalized our new Black Lives Matter Park. Also a new community center. Our community has been asking for years for a community center and senior services center in the West Hill community. And it did not happen until I got into office to make it happen. And so I've been listening to the voices and concerns of the people. And I have not only been a presence, but I've been an effective presence with the people here in the Fifth Ward.
Okay, thank you very much. And the next, it'll come to Mr. Robinson first. Can you provide your thoughts on supporting the school district to support student learning, engagement, and voices if elected?
Gotcha. So yeah, so I definitely will always support our cities, the city school district of Albany. You know, when it comes to, you know, programming for our students, partnering with the city school district to make sure that, you know, we work in tandem. Another thing with the new community center coming along, we want to make sure that that we work in tandem with our Albany City School District to make sure that the needs of our residents and also our students are addressed as well.
Thank you. Mr. Lawson?
Yes, being an educator of the best Albany City School District in the world, you know, I just, you know, the school district is a very big part of building our community. You know, that's where it starts at. You know, and that's where we will teach, you know, things to do and things not to do is there. So, you know, having our great teachers and having our great our great administrators, you know, a great superintendent, you know, that's where community starts right there. You know, starts because, you know, the kids are spending most of their time in their school. They're spending more time in the schools than there are at home. So, you know, I know a lot of things start at home, but the school district is very important for the teaching rights of what the kids are doing out there in the community. So the school district is very important.
There was another question about the school district. Let's see here. Actually, the education system, and this will come to, let's see, who's up on my list? Sorry, I got my papers out of order. Who's up next? Do we know? Okay, Mr. Lawson, right? Okay. Do you think the City of Albany education system needs to be changed? And if so, do you see a role for the Common Council?
I think the school district is working very hard to meet the needs of our kids. I mean, our you know, like I said, working side to side with our administrators and our teachers is very valuable. You know, and so I know for a fact that they're working very hard, and I know they're making a big impact to try to meet the needs of all of our kids. So I do think that the school district is very valuable.
Okay, and Mr. Robinson?
I'm sorry, Zach, I'm just gonna ask you to repeat that question as well.
Sure. Okay, do you think the City of Albany education system needs to be changed? And if so, do you see a role of the Common Council?
I believe our city school district is doing an exceptional job. I can remember at a time where there was just barely above 50% of our students graduating high school. And I believe the last time that I heard that it's over 70% now. So that shows the growth and the phenomenal ability, even if that's a word, of the administrators of our school district and how they are teaching and rearing our children. And the role that the Common Council, I believe, can continue to play is to be a support to our city school district, to ensure that when the kids leave, you know, for school for the day, that the city has the proper programming in place to build on what was learned or what was experienced during the school day. So that's how I can see the role of the Common Council playing.
Well, it looks like I have exhausted all of my questions that were provided to me as the moderator tonight. So I guess it'll be time for our closing statements and let's see. I guess we'll go to, let's see, you did Mr. Robinson, you did the opening. So Mr. Lawson, closing? 2 minutes, sir.
Oh, it's me first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Like I said before, you know, I'm willing to work with others to advocate for my community. Like I said, one of the most important things in our community is somebody that's visible, is somebody that's walking the street and somebody that's living that life. To be out there every day and to hear the concerns, of my people and them saying that they don't have anyone to go to is very important and is very disturbing. They should know that they can go to you for any given issue at any given time to make sure that so you can help them be safe. These programmings, we don't have enough programming for our kids. There's never enough programming for our kids. There's never enough programming for our mothers. There's never enough programming for our seniors. It's our job to create all of this stuff. And where has it been? Have we been seeing anything? No, we haven't been seeing much. You know what I mean? Like I said, I live it. I live it every day. I have people that come by here every day and talk about it. So if it's going on, where is it? You know what I mean? So it's time to hold people accountable for the things that they're saying that's supposed to be done, that are supposed to be happening. And I'm a person that if I'm elected, yes, I want to be held accountable. If I told you that I'm going to do something, I want to be held accountable that I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? And I just want the opportunity to fight, for everything that like our community needs. I'm willing to go to the table and fight for them. Just every issue is a concern of mine. All right. So that's one of the main things, a few of the main things that the reason why I want to be the Common Council Fifth Ward leader.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Lawson. And Mr. Robinson, 2 minutes closing statement.
Thank you. So I'm just going to reflect real quickly upon what happened to me and my family 2 years ago. While me and my wife was laying in bed at night, we heard gunshots right in front of our house. I quickly jumped on top of my wife to make sure, and she was pregnant at the time with our twins. I quickly jumped on top of my wife to make sure that she was okay. And 2 seconds later, I got up and I ran out of the house, put clothes on, ran out of the house. My wife tried not to get me to run out of the house, but I told her I need to check on our neighbors. I need to check and make sure that people are safe. And that has been how I've been operating as the Common Council person, to be engaged with my community, to make sure that our community has what it needs. When I first ran for office, I heard a plethora of things that our community wanted. And I've done my best to try to deliver on those things. Our community wanted updated parks. We got it done. Our community wanted the asphalt sidewalks removed. I got it done. Our community wanted a new community center. I got it done. Our community wanted to ensure that we, were looked at from an equity standpoint. With my Common Council representatives, we got it done. And so my first term in office, what it would take people 2, 3, 4 terms to do, I got it done in 1 term. And so I look forward to continue to listen to the concerns of my neighbors, to be engaged, not just in meetings, but to be engaged at the doors and to move our community forward. Change isn't easy. Change doesn't happen overnight, but with collaboration, change is inevitable. Thank you.
Hey, thank you very much, Mr. Robinson, and thank you to the candidates, Mr. Lawson and Mr. Robinson, for your participation this evening. In closing, I just wanted to convey some important voter information. To vote in a primary in New York State, you must be registered to vote, enrolled in a political party. Your party must be holding a primary. You will only be voting for those candidates running in your party. This year, the primary for those parties holding primary elections are being held in person on June 22nd. Early voting is taking place June 12th to the 20th. Please check with the Albany County Board of Elections for dates, times, and locations for early voting polling sites. They may be different from your usual voting locations. Absentee ballots are available for those who are unable to go to the polls on election day. You must apply to the Board of Elections to receive an absentee ballot, which will be mailed to your street address. You will fill out the ballot and mail it back to the Albany County Board of Elections. The deadline to apply is June 15th by mail, email, or fax. June 21st is the last day to apply for an absentee ballot in person. And now we will have our closing remarks from the co-sponsors. I just want to say on behalf of the Council of Albany Neighborhood Associations, I would like to sincerely thank Mr. Lawson again and Mr. Robinson for participating tonight. And for everyone watching, thank you. As a reminder, Cana meets every Wednesday, first Wednesday of the month, except for July and August at 6:30. We've been virtual since the COVID-19 pandemic. However, we normally meet at the auditorium of the Albany Public Library, Washington Avenue branch. In closing, always remember that elections matter, your vote matters, and democracy always matters. And now I'll turn it back over to the NAACP.
Thank you. Again, I would like to join in thanking our candidates for your participation this evening. The Honorable Mr. Robinson, Jamal Robinson, and Mr. Wilmer Lawson. I think the information you provided has been helpful in informing the community so that they can make an informed decision about their representation. I would also like to thank the moderator, Mr. Simpson. I would also like to thank our partners, Cana and the League of Women Voters, for your invaluable collaboration with these forums. We know that information is power, and we look to provide our community with the information to inform them that they can be a powerful voter. The next forum hosted by the NAACP will be on Thursday, June 10th for Ward 11, the Honorable Alfredo Ballerin and Lewis Williams. Would also like to share with you that the NAACP general membership meets every fourth Thursday of the month. This month, the month of June, our meeting will be held on June 24th at 6 p.m. They are held virtually, and our speaker for the June meeting will be the Chief Eric Hawkins. Please join us. We ask that you also join your local NAACP. If you are not yet a member, please become a member. We have the information on our Facebook page. Now I would like to turn it over. Oh, also, I would like to make you aware that the recording of tonight's forum will be made available. And now I would like to turn it to our partner. Mary, will it be you or will it be Patricia?
No, me.
Mary, okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna turn it to our partner, the League of Women Voters, Mary Berry. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. I want to give my thanks, especially to the candidates. Thank you for participating and letting us hear your views on all these issues. It's very important that the voters know how you feel, and that helps them make their decision when they go to vote. And thank you to Zach and the moderator and Lynn Nugent, who's our timer. Without them, we couldn't have carried on as we have, but also to our co-sponsors with the NAACP and Cana. Thank you so much. And I wanted to say, we welcome, the League of Women Voters welcomes all new members, both men and women. Although we've been in existence for 100 years, since the 70s, men have been part of our organization as well. So don't be fooled by that name. I did want to say that we are holding another Zoom candidate forum on the 10th, but ours is for Ward 7. So if any of you have interest in that, please join us for that. It's at 7 o'clock for Ward 7. So thank you. And I think this closes our event. So good night.
Good night, everyone.